Greetings and welcome to No Nonsense Metal Reviews with me, George. This is the third instalment of Heavy Relics, a show where I will basically just show off my latest finds, musical finds, whether it's vinyl or cassette or CD, whatever. But this one in particular I am very, very, very happy about. This is yet more vinyl from my favourite band of all time. I'll go on record to say that, my all-time favourite band, the mighty NWOBHM Kings, Saxon. Absolutely chuffed to bits with this little bundle that I just bought on eBay. I won't go into the money details too much, but an absolute bargain for what I got here. So I'll take you through the bits and pieces that I just got. You will remember, I'm sure, the first episode of this Heavy Relics show where I showed off the last Saxon vinyl bundle that I found. And there's a few duplicates in there that obviously I don't need two copies of. They're all in great condition, but I don't need two copies of, so I will either sell them on to my dad or trade them for some of his vinyl. We'll see. So let's start off with the duplicates. So, if you do remember, if you have seen the other show, I'd already acquired a few of these pieces. Saxon 1986 Rock the Nations, very good album, a little bit more of a melodic rocker in places, but some great tracks on there. Certainly when it comes to the title track, Battle Cry, Party Till You Puke, great track as well. These are in no particular order, just because I've already covered them quite in depth on the first video. We have 1988 Destiny. Again, it's a good album. It's actually grown on me a little bit, listening to it a few times more recently. I think in my first review I was a little bit unfair on it, and I know one of the viewers pointed me out on that. That actually it's not a bad album at all. There's no bad Saxon albums, not in my opinion, and that is a unanimous consensus across the board that Saxon don't have bad albums. They have some that are better than others. But Ride Like the Wind, Where the Lightning Strikes, Calm Before the Storm, there's some good tracks here actually. I will take back what I said, that it's just a bit soft. There are some good numbers here. A little bit softer than the NWOBHM classics, their early catalogue. More on that in a moment. Innocence Is No Excuse. Again, the first sort of big Def Leppard style appeal to the radio and American audience rockin' album. It's a good album, 1985, but it's just not quite the Saxon that I necessarily opt for first, not the era. I either go for the early albums or post Destiny, to be honest, starting with Solid Ball of Rock and then up to Carpe Diem. Again, all great albums, but I visit this period, the EMI period of the band, and Crusader the least frequently out of all of the band's material and catalogue. So there's some good tracks on here, some really good tracks. Rockin' Again, Call of the Wild, Back on the Streets. In fact, start to finish, it's a really strong rockin' album. It really is. The musicianship is great, Biff's great on the vocals there. It's a great album. As I say, I'm not going to cover it too in depth because I've already done that. This is a lovely piece actually. It's in a gatefold sleeve with gatefold plastic protector there, really nice. Crusader, of course, the big commercial hit for them. Crusader itself is a wonderful track. Really do love that song. Certainly the more symphonic version that they have done in recent years on their Reworkings album. I think I've mentioned that in the last video. This is a good number here. Just Let Me Rock's a really good track. Rock City, Run For Your Lives. So yeah, there's some good numbers, but again, it's not an album that I tend to visit all that often. Okay, so we've got the duplicates out of the way there. let's go in to the bits that I'm particularly, really very chuffed about, because I did have a few gaps in my Saxon catalogue, a few gaps here and there that I needed to fill. And that has been done. Starting with the debut 1979 self-titled Saxon album. A classic album, certainly. To critical acclaim, not quite. It's certainly got a lot of stick at the time, I feel. This particular copy is in perfect condition. It really is in great condition there, as you can see. Minimal spine wear. Inside, I think the inner sleeve has probably been replaced, but the disc itself, I'm not going to keep getting the discs out just because I don't want to unnecessarily damage them. But I've checked them all thoroughly and they're all in great condition, and I'm very happy with it. I feel that this album is underappreciated, and at some point soon I'm going to be talking about albums that I feel are underrated because they are overshadowed by, shall we say, bigger successes, more of a commercial success albums. This is one that I think is overshadowed by the fact that they had a run of hugely important and really significant albums. I think that it doesn't help the fact that Wheels of Steel and Strong Arm of the Law came out a year later that made this album look a little bit obsolete. But some really good tracks here. Judgment Day is a great song, I think. Stallions of the Highway and Backs to the Wall are tracks that have regularly featured in Saxon's live sets, and I think they're great songs. I don't really need to hear Big Teaser or Still Fit to Boogie anytime soon. It's just not quite what I want to hear from Saxon, but it's a good album. It's a really good album. I must say, I think that it deserves a little bit more love from the fans. Up next, chronologically, and I've already slipped it into a sleeve, probably a little bit prematurely, the classic album, 1980, Wheels of Steel. The album that really sent them up into the NWOBHM hierarchy. Brilliant condition copy here. Bit of spine wear, but I don't expect much else, to be honest, considering that it's over 40 years old. But it's brilliant. Again, the disc is in great condition in there. There's no insert to show, but what a classic album this is. Absolutely classic. Right from the off, Motorcycle Man, Stand Up and Be Counted, 747, Wheels of Steel. Start to finish, this album is an absolute NWOBHM classic, an absolute gem. One of the NWOBHM, new wave British heavy metal defining moments, in my opinion. An absolute stormer of an album, and one that I am very pleased to have on vinyl, finally. Lovely condition as well, as I mentioned there. Really chuffed with that one. Keeping with the chronology here, probably the piece that I'm not actually going to say that I'm most pleased with, because I'm pleased with all of them, to be honest. It's just lovely to have these original articles. And I don't know if I mentioned, I don't think I did, but this self-titled one, just going back a second, backtracking. Carrera, it's a first press, the first run of the album. Same here with Wheels of Steel. It's an original Carrera Records release album there. One of, if not my favourite album from the classic early NWOBHM era, the mighty, the classic Strong Arm of the Law. 1980, same year as Wheels of Steel. These guys were on top form, and this is a beautiful first run. It is in flawless condition. I don't know if you can see the spine there, but there's not a crease on it. And even more of a bonus, it is a delightful gatefold sleeve there, full of interesting and weird and wonderful pictures of the band there. Really great stuff. Lovely condition throughout. The disc is in excellent condition, and I was absolutely delighted to see hidden inside there I can't quite work out if it's a vinyl sticker or if it's just a normal sort of peel at the edges. Of course, I'm not going to dare do that. But this lovely piece here, it's almost like a textile feel to it. At first I thought, is it a patch? But I don't think it is. I think it must be a sticker. But I don't want to play around with it too much. That's the thing. You don't want to risk damaging it because it's an uncreased, lovely piece in there. So I'm so happy to finally get a copy of this album in particular. Not, like I say, not going to say it's my absolute outright it's my favourite, because if I then think too much on Wheels of Steel or Denim and Leather or Power and the Glory, it's gonna move depending on what time of day you ask me or what the position the moon is in. There's so many variable factors, but that is such a classic album. I absolutely love this album to bits. Strong Arm of the Law, and this is in such good condition. Again, Carrera Records there, an original piece. So happy to have found a copy of that in this delightful bundle. Keeping with the chronology then, we're on to the mighty NWOBHM defining status symbol that is Denim and Leather, the mighty 1981. Again, this is a Carrera Records original issue in superb condition there. Really great piece, absolutely love it. Full of classics, absolutely full. One of my favourite Saxon songs all time, Princess of the Night, kicking off the album there. Absolutely brilliant number. Play It Loud, Rough and Ready, and the band's played on. The great Monsters of Rock tribute there. Fire in the Sky, and of course the title track. And I believe, heading in here, we have the promo insert as well, which I think is always lovely when you've got that original insert and you see it and it says a t-shirt is £4 and a patch is £1. A quarter of the price of today. A lovely, lovely album, condition-wise, and a fantastic symbol of NWOBHM. Absolutely love this album. Chuffed to bits to have this. I do have a copy of which my wife bought me for our anniversary, wedding anniversary, which was the anniversary reissue, a nice splatter. It's like 40th anniversary, I think it was. Splatter vinyl, really great one. But it's great to have an original as it was meant to be heard there at the time. So, the last article I am totally blown away by. I do have a copy of it, a standard copy, which I got in the previous Saxon vinyl hoard, which I showed off. So this is a picture disc of the classic 1983 heavy moment, Power and the Glory. Now, it is in a sleeve. I'm hoping that you can see it, because I will try and delicately take it out. Because on the back, it is signed by the band, the full band, and I have had a look, scoured around, and there are a few other, I saw one other signed copy by the band, 1983, dated by Biff, and the signatures look different, the arrangement looked different, so I'm being very careful with this one. So I'm convinced that this is not a print, that these are authentic signatures, because there's a few parts where you can see there's almost a slight smudge, or where the pen has trailed slightly, and as I say, it's different, the configuration, like Nigel Glocker's signature on the other copy that I saw online. His signature was all on one line, whereas here, I don't know if you can see, his signature is first and second name separate lines. But I'm just absolutely amazed by this album. It's such a superb record, but to have a authentic signed picture disc copy, and I paid next to nothing for all of these. Really, really chuffed to bits. It's almost a bit too surreal. It's the idea that Saxon, they're probably signing hundreds of copies, but they would have held this piece or touched this piece and then signed it with their own hands. It's a little bit awe-inspiring, and as I say, they are my favourite band, and I am chuffed to bits to have this. And of course, because it's the classic lineup of that era, where you've got Graham, Oliver, and you've got Oliver and Dawson here before they left. It's great. It's just a great thing to have. Absolutely brilliant. 1983, again, that was Carrera Records. Graham Oliver, Paul Quinn, Steve Dawson. I always get the names confused, and I think that's because of the Oliver Dawson spin-off from Saxon that there is. But what a lovely piece. What an absolute gem to have found. Really happy with this, and I am going to extremely delicately put this back in the sleeve. Probably never to take out again, but that is the price we pay for having these lovely collectible pieces. It's not to be played. I've got another copy if I need to actually play the album. So there we have it. Heavy Relics, Saxon Horde Part 2, I suppose. I am chuffed to bits with these pieces. Let me know, where did you get your copies? How long have you had a copy since 1980 of Strong Arm or Wheels of Steel? Has anyone else got a signed picture disc of Power and the Glory? What do you think about these albums? I'm interested to know. Let's get a bit of conversation going. Thank you very much for watching. There will no doubt be more editions of Heavy Relics coming up, because although you can't see in the camera here, I've got two enormous stacks of records that I need to actually listen to and then review. All sorts of things. Obviously, it's going to be heavy, but classics and slightly more recent things. It's just getting the time, to be honest, to actually put the LP on, sit down and just absorb the music. But I will get there, and then I will tell you all about it. So take care, my friends. Stay heavy, and check back soon for more reviews of all things heavy. Feel free to like and subscribe as always. Thank you.